All right, what's up YouTube? Welcome back. If you haven't already, you can watch my introductory video on this car. I'll link it in the description below, but I have a BMW F10 535i. So this is an N55 motor. It's the inline six with the turbo. So a lot of this applies to other model cars, but specifically this intake will apply to the 535. And if you're looking to modify the 535, I'm sure you've seen Burger Motorsports. They have a $200 intake, and I did not feel like paying $200 for an intake for this car. So I went hunting on Amazon and I discovered an intake hack on this car. So in total, I think I spent about 46 bucks to get the same exact effect as the Burger Motorsports. So I'll show you guys what you need for this modification, and I'm going to show you guys how I did it. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, drop a like on this video, and let's dive into this. So to do this modification, you're going to need a few parts and a few tools. The first thing that you're going to need is an air filter. I used a generic air filter that I found on Amazon. There's a bunch of different options, and I'll put in the description what size intake pipe you need for this filter. So the other thing that you're going to need is a hose clamp. The hose clamp is a generic hose clamp. You can get them from Home Depot or AutoZone. It needs to be at least 3.5 inch. So the other thing you'll need is a intake pipe. This I recommend you get is 4-ply and do 45 degree. I tried one that was 90 degree and it ended up being too close to the engine and not being able to take advantage of the filter. So make sure it's 45 degree and 4-ply, and I'll put the diameter that you need that pipe to be in the description below. So all of these again are linked in the description below. Now that we have the parts that we need, let's go over the tools. The tools are simple. You're going to need a T20 bit and you're going to need a flathead screwdriver. This is optional, but I'm using a bit driver. A lot of times in some of these, it might be easier just to use a handheld one just because of the location of the screws, but that's pretty much all you're gonna need to be able to do this modification. So the first thing that we're gonna have to do is remove the stock intake box. It's pretty easy. There is 6 T20 bolts on each side, and then you can use a flathead screwdriver to loosen up this clamp. Once all the screws are loose, you can just lift up and kind of shimmy it out. For this modification, you're gonna wanna take this whole thing out. And so the only way to take this out is you have to take these wire looms off, and they're just like little rubber grommets that hold them onto this bracket. And then once you get those off, it just simply pulls up. And then once you have it lifted up, take it off the intake scoop. So now that we have the original airbox out, the first thing you're gonna wanna do is take this coupler and feed it into the intake on the car. It's going on the inside diameter of the intake on the car, so you're just going to want to feed it in. It might give you a fight until you first kind of get it in there, but once you get it in there, the best way to do it is just to twist it back and forth. So once you have it in there, have the intake pipe kind of sticking out like it is shown right here, and then you're going to want to tighten down that clamp. So I used the original clamp that was already on there from the original airbox. But the next thing you're going to want to do is put the clamp on the intake filter that you plan to use. And when you're putting this on, it goes on the same way as the other one. You're just going to stick it inside of the filter. And once you have it in there, you can angle it. The best way to do it is keep it flat. And then that way the air coming in here from the air dam goes straight into the filter. And the last thing you need to do is just tighten down the clamp on the filter. So it's pretty easy. All you have to do is take off the old air box, which is 6 screws and a clamp. And then the new one is just 2 clamps and you're in. So it's a pretty easy mod, and this is a fraction of the cost of the BMS or any of the other intakes they make for the N55. So I totally recommend doing this. So yeah, I ended up taking the car for a drive, and you can definitely hear more intake noises, and you can hear the blow-off valve when you let off the throttle. The throttle also feels more responsive. I don't know that there's any addition in horsepower, but it definitely feels more responsive, and it's definitely a great supporting mod for anything else you plan to do this if you do want to tune your car. So if you have a 535i, or you're thinking about buying one, or you just want to follow along with the build, make sure you hit the subscribe button below. It helps out the channel greatly. Drop a like on the video as well. I think this mod will help a lot of people save some money because I feel like the BMS intake is way overpriced for what it is when you can get these parts for 40 bucks. So if you have any trouble with this mod or finding the parts, message me on Instagram at ChampagneJoni, or drop a comment below and I'll get right back to you guys. So thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and hit the like. See you next time. I'm just really trying to show you no love. Say you tired and you need a new love.